On Tuesday, the House passed a resolution that calls on the Russian government to immediately release retired U.S. Marine Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. The vote was unanimous, 422-0. In 2020, Russia convicted Whelan of spying and then threw the book at him. Russia imposed a 16-year sentence. And just 3 months ago, in March, reporter Gershkovich was arrested. He was on a reporting trip for the Wall Street Journal. He's now facing espionage charges. The Biden administration says that both Whelan and Gershkovich are wrongfully detained. Paul Whelan's brother, David Whelan, joins me. Good evening.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad you're back. I would rather have your brother back sitting next to you because we've been working on that for quite some time. But tell me, this resolution, do you think it's going to have any influence on Putin and the Russian government?
I'm not sure if it will move President Putin to make a decision he wasn't going to make otherwise, but it shows that the U.S. Congress, the U.S. government is unwavering in their support. And I think that has to send a message to President Putin, however he takes it.
What does it mean that the U.S. government has support? You know, I see like Brittany Griner got brought back to the United States in exchange for an arms dealer, and we did, I think, 26 segments on her, and I'm glad she's back here. But there was that exchange. That would be a do. I know that Jimmy Wilgus is over in Russia in the same prison, I believe, that your brother Paul is. So, you know, like, what does it mean? What is the government actually doing?
Well, the resolutions, I think, are a good example of how over two different administrations, Congress, this is the third time that they've voted on a resolution to call for Paul's release, that the U.S. government shows that it's not going to go away. And whether that means that the U.S. government has a concession now that it can make to Russia, or if it has to work in order to find a concession in the future, I think that's where we are right now, which is that the State Department is looking around to try and find ways to encourage Russia, to encourage the Kremlin to make the decision that is in their best interests to release Paul.
Is there someone that could be exchanged for him?
I'm not sure. It doesn't seem as though there is. There used to be discussions of Mr. Boot or Mr. Yaroshenko going back for Paul, but those two men were traded for Trevor Reed first in April last year and then Brittany Griner in December. So I'm not sure that there is anybody in U.S. custody right now who fits that bill. And I'm not sure that it's only a matter of people, that the U.S. government couldn't find other concessions, whether it's sanctions relief or additional sanctions placed against the Kremlin or people inside the Kremlin.
Are you able to talk to him? Because I know that they can get phone calls out of the Russia prison. I don't know if your brother's been able to call you or a family, but are you able to talk to him? And has he given you, any sort of update on his physical condition and his mental condition being in that prison?
His mental condition seems to be better. He's been able to speak to our parents every few days. Normally, he's able to speak to them on a daily basis for 15 minutes. Recently, the prison has been retaliating against him. He refused to do an interview for a Russian television, a propaganda segment that was going on at the prison. And so they have been interrupting his ability to speak to the U.S. Embassy and to speak to our parents. But on a pretty regular basis, he seems to be able to communicate what's going on with him, and that he is trying to, keep focused on surviving until the day comes when he is released.
What are the conditions of the prison? How does he characterize them?
It sounds really awful, and it sounds like it has gotten worse since Russia invaded Ukraine. The number of prisoners who have gone off to the war is about 100, 115, but the food has gotten less filling, I guess. They're getting less in the way of milk. The portions are smaller. They're not able to work, so there's a lot of just sitting around. There aren't materials for them to work on in the clothing factory. So I think it's a really a pretty brutal existence.
David Whelan, thank you, and I look forward to when your brother does come home to the United States. Thank you very much for joining me, and good luck, sir.
Me too. Thank you.